Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a meeting of the North Penn School District Board of School Directors, April 7th, 1998. The meeting tonight is our regularly scheduled work session. We will also be presenting proclamations to outstanding students. This meeting is being videotaped for community cable channels. Individuals attending this meeting and intending to speak to the board should be aware that they are being videotaped. And in order to meet the requirements of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, it is necessary to record the names of all citizens who speak to the board during the meeting. To assure compliance with this requirement, it is essential that those planning to address the board come to the microphone and state their name and address. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to no more than 5 minutes. This limit will permit time for all those who wish to speak to the board to do so, and whenever members of the audience exceed this time limit, the board president may ask the individual to yield the microphone to the next speaker, and this is in reference to Board Policy 8344.2. So, ladies and gentlemen, as a special treat, we have an opportunity to do a Pledge of Allegiance being led by the captains of our distinguished swim team, Michael McPeak and Steve Bonner. Gentlemen, if you'll lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we have proclamations for some very, very special students. Dr. Bose?
Well, I think we all know why these bright young men are here. They could have been on, many of them, the state academic decathlon championship team, but they were at the same time winning a state swimming championship. So we're here to recognize an outstanding team, an outstanding coach for their second consecutive state championship. Coach Bartle will introduce these champs, and we ask them to come forward, shake a few hands, and receive our proclamation honoring their magnificent accomplishment.
Okay, thank you. The first individual of the team is Jeremy Bergman. Jeremy was All-State 200-yard free relay, 400-yard free relay, and honorable mention All-State in the 100-yard freestyle. Next member of the team, Steve Bonner. Steve Bonner was a District 1 champion and set a district record. He also set a state record in winning the 1-meter diving competition at the state championship. Next, Chris Craig. Chris was All-State in the 200-yard freestyle, the 500-yard freestyle, the 200-yard free relay, and the 400-yard free relay. Next, Steve Fleming. Steve was All-State, 200-yard medley relay, 400-yard free relay, and the 100-yard backstroke. Next, Tim Kronstan. Tim was All-State in the 200-yard free relay. Next, Mike McPeak. Mike was All-State in the 200-yard free relay and the 200-yard medley relay. Next, Steve Pasquale. Steve was All-State in the 200-yard free relay. Next, Rick Schillo. Rick was another member of the state team. And our last team member, Dominic Zabo. Dominic was All-State in the 200-yard medley relay, the 100-yard breaststroke, the 400-yard free relay, and All-State honorable mention in the 200-yard IM. And that is it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Coach Bartle, I would like to award you another award of merit for this outstanding accomplishment, and our personal congratulations as well as our pride. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It is our hope that Coach Bartle will stay with us long enough to wallpaper his den with all of these awards.
My hope too.
You've received quite a few since the short period of time you've been here. And also, is there any truth to the rumor that these young men are going to be on the Cheerios box or something?
I haven't heard that
Are you
yet.
still working on that?
We're trying hard.
Wheaties. No, everyone else does Wheaties.
Breakfast of champions.
Team Cheerios. Team Cheerios. That's it. Cheerios. Young men, would you walk around and shake all of our hands?
Congratulations.
That was good Cheerios. You can't walk. That's weird. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time. Round of
Madam President, I'd like to know the next time we're honoring the swim team, because from my son's experience in the summer league, I have some interesting photos of many of these guys when they swam 8 to 10-year-old league on up, and it's amazing to see all these names and how far they've come, that they stuck with it all this time, and they're making state championships year after year.
And how much they've grown.
I'd love to have those photos up on that white bulletin board
When they're
as they
little
walk
ones.
past.
Good point.
They might not appreciate it.
Yeah, they might be a little...
You might hear about it later.
They might not come back.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. There's probably, without a doubt, these moments are the best times that you have as a school board member, is to see these young folks. Okay, K through 12 curriculum, Dr. Bose and Dr. Haslett.
We're returning to a topic I think the board will remember from last year's introduction. And for the board and our guests, it's on the second page or the flip side of the recommendation. It's an outline of an early graduation acceleration program that's being developed at North Penn School District for North Penn High School students. And what it proposes to do is to offer enrichment courses in the summer school that would enable students to take credit in advance of taking it either their sophomore, junior, or senior year, earn high school credit, and with enough summer school experience and a full schedule, possibly graduate from high school early. Now, the advantage to that for young people and their families is the opportunity to gain early admittance to college. What we know about the American college experience is the largest dropout rate is after the first semester of the freshman year. So there are lots of seats for bright young people who would qualify, achieve early high school graduation, and benefit from getting the college of their choice and starting the first semester, the second semester of what would be their senior year and would be their first semester in college. That's part of this program, and it's part of the incentive. And to do that, we want to offer an enriched summer school program, which Dr. Hassler will talk to you about, after which I'll talk to you about the addition to that, which is college-level courses.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bose. As Dr. Bose said, we want to continue and build upon what we began last year. So this recommendation is to continue the process started last year, where we offered a number of our own courses for our students, and we would anticipate to do the same thing. We're in the process right now, or in the next week, of surveying students to find out which courses we should offer. So we would be offering some of our own courses that we offer at North Penn High School, and in addition, Dr. Bose would continue that dialogue now as far as our recommendation to also form a partnership with some local colleges.
Beaver College, Montgomery County Community College, and Drexel University have joined us in a series of conversations, the last of which was March 25 last month. Their interest and our interest is offering college-level courses during the summer as a part of our summer school program, which will enable the students to at their choice, receive dual credit, both college credit and high school credit. The high school credit helps with the acceleration opportunity if they choose it and their parents want it. The opportunity to go to college at a North Penn site offers obviously some early college experience into the rigor and demands of college coursework. It also offers the security of still being at home and still being able to get all the advice and assistance and support that young people need when they venture off to college. And it also offers portability in that these courses would be transferable most likely to any college to which the student would enroll and seek admission. And those courses are outlined on the paper that you picked up or the board members have in front of them. We will do probably at the end of next week a survey of our student body to see which of these courses offered by Beaver College, Drexel Universal, or Montgomery County, Drexel University I should say, or Montgomery County Community College the kids might be interested in. The colleges will determine how many students they need to break even. It'll be based upon their own enrollment requirements. They will charge tuition. The tuition will be a matter between the kids, their families, and the universities. And if they successfully master the coursework, they'll receive college credit. At the same time, we'll give them high school credit for comparable high school work. Probably electives, as you know, that's a part of the coursework in any high school. So we're very pleased with how this idea has developed and the level of cooperation we're receiving from these three institutions of higher education. But more importantly, we're excited about the possibility that it will provide for many young people who are academically talented and gifted and ambitious and hard workers to get a leg up in college enrollment and perhaps college credit while still close to home and within our ability to influence and assist along the way. Certainly be glad to take any questions anybody might have, but the last part of this presentation about summer school has to do with remediation, so this is probably the Bud and Bob show. Back to Bob.
Okay, the second recommendation is to continue, as usual, our summer remedial course, and this is for makeup of credit for students who have failed courses during the year. And we're recommending basically, to keep it short, basically to be the same program as in previous years, with an increase, however, in tuition for residents for a single period course to $150, and for a double period course to $300, and non-resident $300 and $600 respectively. Basically, the program will be run the same as it has been in the past. We run the program at Pembroke Middle School in the modulars. Mrs. Brenda Dickerson is our building administrator, our administrator in charge, and we have courses offered in all the subject areas as needed and staffed by North Penn teachers. So the recommendation is to continue that program.
Okay, so on one side of the sheet we have enrichment, on the other side we have remedial. Down both covered. Okay, before we start with the questions, I will start to the left. There's something I feel I need to say. I think all of us were raised to believe that it's rude to toot your own horn, but it isn't rude to toot someone else's. And I can't help but think, as I see things like this happen, things that have never happened in North Penn before, I can't help but point out that, again, this is another thing happening in North Penn that didn't happen until Bud Bose was here. And he has started quite a few initiatives. He has done a lot of good work here that continues to go unsung and unrecognized by many, by our media, etc. And it's just unfair. As you well know, Dr. Bose spoke of his resignation this summer from North Penn about a month or so ago, and this board quickly shored up any concerns or worries by placing in his position at the time that he leaves Dr. Hassler. And again, this is proof that Dr. Bose isn't coasting until August. This is a lot of hard work. This is a lot of meetings. This is a lot of initiative on the part of somebody that some might wish to claim a lame duck. quite the contrary. I'm encouraged to see both of these gentlemen, Dr. Bose and Dr. Hassler, working together on a first-time situation like this, opportunity for all our students, and can't help but appreciate Bud Bose more and more every day. Questions to the left, Mr. Mosey.
Thank you. Not too many, just some clarification if I can, Dr. Hassler. I noticed that for the advanced courses, it'll be taught on site at North Penn. Will they be taught by college professors, or will our teachers be teaching these courses?
Probably a combination. We will, again, as I said, offer courses that we offer in our high school, and pending enrollment by students. They would be taught by our teachers. The college level courses would be taught by...
That's on me.
Right. They would be taught by the college professors.
Okay.
And we've, just to add one thing to this, we've met with our department chairs and talked about this double level of courses that we would be offering. So I think what we're putting together is a nice package that offers students in the early grades a chance to get some of their courses out of the way and then double up and take some college level courses.
Okay. And the next thing was the fees. I went back and pulled the green sheets from last year. And I see that we have, I'll give you an idea, on the enrichment program, last year it was $130 for half credit and $230 for full, and $260 for the non-resident and $440. I see this year that the fees are the same, but when we got to the remedial program last year, we charged $260 for the double period for a resident, and $460 for a double period for non-resident, and then the only change was for the non-resident single period was $230 last year, and that's going to $300. Our teachers are making more money, so is this going? I know this program, these two programs are self-sufficient. The students pay the tuition. Do you feel that with these fees of $150 and $300 and $300 and $600 respectively for resident and non-resident, it'll be sufficient to cover the expense of the teachers?
Well, we're hoping so. The reason that we took a look and recommending the raise is because we've seen, I've gone back over the past about 7 years, and we've seen that the amount of money that we take in is, our profit, let's say, in a sense, is decreasing every year. And last year, we actually were in the red a little bit.
So where did the money come from last year if we were in the red? We had to take out of the general fund to supplement the salary?
Basically out of the curriculum account, yes. So we want to make sure that we had a dip in registration last year that seemed to be unusual, and we're not sure why that was in our remedial course. So we're hoping again that our registration will, I don't know if we're hoping our registration increases for remedial courses, but to make it self-sufficient in a sense. Yes, we anticipate this would help us cover
That was
the
something that
costs.
never came before the board, and obviously it was probably handled in a budget transfer if additional funds had.
It was a small amount.
Okay.
It seemed to be a blip.
Because that was going to be my next question. Do we have a cutoff, or do we establish a certain amount of students have to sign up for a course, or if we have 4 or 5 students, we just, we go ahead with the course? I don't think it would be very prudent. We ought to have a break-even point, though, is we're going to put a teacher in a classroom, and we're going to pay that teacher for 45 days, or, 30 days, or whatever. We should have it worked out that we know that we need a certain amount of students to cover that fee, or else we do what colleges do, we drop the course.
Well, for the enriched courses that we offered last year, yes, we did have a cutoff, and that's why we didn't offer a number of those courses. And
What was the?
I think around 12. Basically, what we did is we took a look at the total. We only ran 2 courses last year, and those were the SAT courses. Hopefully, we can have more students this year, and if one is over, let's say, is undersubscribed and another one's more oversubscribed, we could balance it out and continue to run the course. In the remedial part, and Dr. Miller can speak to this since she was the administrator in charge at one time, a number of courses are sometimes collapsed into one. So we may have a couple levels within a teacher's classroom so that we're not teaching one student.
Okay, yeah, that's why, we don't have 3 or 4 students signing up for a course, and we put a $70,000 a year teacher in there to teach a course for 30 days, and we don't have the money to pay them. It has to come out of our budget.
Right.
I think we're defeating the whole purpose then of having these remedial courses or these CLEP programs.
That's true, Mr. Mosey. One of the things that we always did, and I know it's still done, is if there are courses that we're offering but we don't get anybody, of course, we're obviously not going to offer them.
Right.
And we always tell the teachers that we hire for summer school that the number of periods that they teach will be contingent on the enrollment.
Okay.
So they don't automatically go in thinking that they're going to be there, all of them, for the whole day.
Okay, that was just a concern of mine, because I was glad to see that the fees went up, because this is supposed to be a self-sustaining program. So I'm glad to see that you did compensate, but my next concern was if we don't have enough students, even if we're paying $300 a course or whatever, if we don't have enough students, what do we do? Obviously, you don't offer the course.
Right.
That's all I have, Madam President, thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. Mrs. Krieger.
Yes, thank you. I do have a couple of questions due to the fact that these were the two topics that were due to have been discussed at the curriculum committee meeting last week, which has been rescheduled for tomorrow at 4:30. And I guess we're taking questions on both topics,
Sure.
both the advanced and
Yeah.
remedial? Okay. The only question I have in regards to the advanced program is that I see a couple of courses here that are being offered both by Drexel and Montco, and even at Beaver College, which are being offered to our regular students here, and in some cases even required here for graduation, in particular the government course at Montco. I guess I need some explanation on, if it's required for graduation, why would it be offered as a club course?
Well, it's a college-level course, and it should not surprise us, but it still does, I think, that there are many college-level courses that have the same rigor of high school courses. And so when there's a high level of comparability, and our staff will determine if in fact the course that they take for college credit in the summer school satisfies our requirements with a similar course, then they don't have to take that course. They can take another elective, earn more credit, which assists those who are interested in the acceleration graduation opportunity. But when there's a high level of similarity or duplication, that's why we grant credit for the high school requirement, as well as provide the opportunity to earn college credit.
Okay, so am I to understand that if a 12th grade student takes and passes American government in the 12th grade, that does qualify towards college credit?
Only if he takes it from the college professor in the summer school opportunity.
So you'd have to take a choice.
No,
No, you get dual credit.
we'll give dual credit. If we require a course that has a high degree of similarity and is offered by one of the higher ed institutions in our summer school program, we will give high school credit, satisfy our North Penn requirement for graduation, and they will earn from the college or university offering the course college credit.
I see, okay.
And by the way, Dr. Cotter and Dave Decker have met with our department chairs, because just on the surface of looking at titles,
Yeah.
you can't,
It's-
it may look the same, but it may not be the same. So we're trying to make sure we clarify that.
I just wanted to make sure, because, I see calculus, analytical geometry, courses like
Spanish
that,
1
and
and 2.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm wondering, well,
But
is,
1 and 2 in college can be a lot different than 1 and 2 in high school.
and I just want to make sure that there is a difference between those two.
And we have the college syllabus, or that one paragraph description you've all seen before in the college catalog
Right.
to use as a guide as well.
Right, okay. Which one? I'm not going to that one. You can ask about that one. And the other one is on the remedial program, and I spoke with Dr. Hassler a little bit about this earlier today. I understand the need to charge a tuition for some students who may be required to enter into the remedial program for a failure to perform during the normal school year. I'm a little dismayed at the prospect that we're having to offer physical education and health, and have to really wonder, and maybe this is something that can come through the review that's going on now in the health and physical education curriculum. But I personally would like to know, Dr. Hassler, and maybe you can provide this to the board in our normal packet deliveries this week, since we're not required to take action on this topic tonight. I would like a breakdown, if at all possible, please, on the enrollments for perhaps the last couple of years that this has been going on, in each of these subject areas. And in particular, the basic skills course, grades 5 and 6. I would think that any students requiring remedial enforcement during the summer in basic skills in grades 5 and 6 are students who truly need it. And I'm wrestling with my conscience in having to charge these particular students for tuition over the summer. I don't have a problem with them taking those courses at Pembroke, but I'm just wrestling with the fact of having to charge those particular students tuition. I think that the older students, 7th grade and above, who are required to take some remediation during the summer, and should be charged the tuition. And I also understand that there are certain cases where we have been cooperative in applying payment plans for those who require it, and in some cases scholarships for those in the community who simply cannot afford it. However, I do realize that there is openings for abuses at times for scholarships, and I don't want to get into that situation either. But I would just really like to know how the board feels in relationship to the basic skills courses, and how they feel about seeing a breakdown on the enrollment in each of these courses to make sure that the need is really there. And other than that, that's really all the comments I have on these two particular items. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. O'Donnell. Mr. Shapinsky.
Just one question, Bob. For the remedial summer school, if we only have a few kids who want to sign up for one of these courses, and we don't hold it, right? Or do we?
No, it would be held, but it would possibly be combined with an English 10
Oh, okay.
course. English
I
11 course.
wanted to know what would happen if we didn't have enough kids to fill a class. Would they actually not get the chance to take the class?
Dr. Hassler, usually when it's middle school, they will combine the skills into one class so that they keep the younger students together and work with them that way, because their needs are often different from those in high school.
And of course, Bob, they have to, have a passing grade in these courses to get credit for it,
There are
correct?
very strict rules of attendance, et cetera, for
Yeah, I would
for this
expect
in the
so.
summertime.
That's all. Thank you.
Michelle.
No, I think all my questions were answered by, were brought up by Mr. Mosley and Mr. Shapinsky. The things I was concerned about, class sizes and paying, I think they've been answered adequately, so I have no other questions.
Mr. Allen.
Do any of our students have an expectation that there will be summer school? And either maybe drop a class, or feel that there's an obligation, that since we've had a specific English or math class or social studies class, whatever it be, in the past, do we have an obligation to maintain the program, I guess is what I'm asking, due to past practice and expectations of students?
I think that there's probably a mixed bag of answers to that. There's probably some students who do know that there will be summer school there, but we also have a cutoff at which a student, if they choose to just do nothing in the classroom, cannot make up the course either. So the summer school is really there for those students who just have difficulty and just don't quite make it. For those students who just decide, in a sense, to turn off their options may be limited. But again, each case is handled on individual basis and a recommendation by the high school administration.
Okay, but I'm getting concerned about talk about canceling classes when there's not enough students. And I just
To my
wonder
knowledge,
where our obligation begins and our being just nice guys starts. And I don't know where it is exactly, but it's something that we ought to consider and keep in mind that if we have offered these courses in the past, that to just decide at the end of the spring when we have the sign-ups that we're not going to do it, I'm not sure that's fair to kids who may have been planning on going there.
to my knowledge, we don't cancel any remedial courses, we'll combine them.
Okay.
The ones that we would cancel especially would be the advanced courses
Okay.
if we don't have enough of enrollment.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I see the two programs as in a quite different light. I'm excited about the CLEP program, and as a matter of fact, I was concerned last year when we said it would gain college credits but may not be counted towards graduation. So I'm glad to see that we are at least acknowledging that if it's accepted by the colleges they're headed to, we should at least be counting it. We're defeating the purpose otherwise as far as acceleration and allowing students to perhaps replace in their schedule another major that they have not yet taken. Because there are those who carry 5 or 6 during the year, and 6 is the max that you can handle, and this allows them to make better use of their subsequent years by picking another another major. However, I also look at them differently when it comes to the tuition. And I guess I see summer school, remedial summer school, as something that goes back to several decades since I was in school as a safety net that was provided by public education for those students who perhaps were faced with either an opportunity to make up that particular course or have to repeat a full year to gain that one single major that must be passed, or the 2 that they failed. And quite frankly, there's a value to that in the system. If a 10th grader or 11th grader is able to move on to that next grade level through their accomplishments in the summer school rather than having to repeat that full year and over again. And I guess my concern is that these rates are basically the same, whether we're talking remedial or whether we're talking enrichment. So I guess I'm kind of separating on my colleagues, and I guess as I look through the whole system and what we consider what's within our realm of responsibilities, I think over all the co-curricular activities that are declared within our responsibilities, and here's academic remedial work that may not be. And again, I'm separating from the enrichment. That certainly is a benefit to the families because they're saving on the college tuition versus the summer school remedial. So I'd caution in those increases that we're talking about for this upcoming year, think about the principles that Dottie Irwin put in play. Lower the prices and sold more, made more, or raise the prices and perhaps lose your incoming students through attrition. And my understanding is this is opened up for, we have students from all across this area, don't we, Dr. Bose?
Correct.
It's open to anybody who lives within the North Penn boundary.
I know Wissahickon, Souderton, and many of those are counting on our topics here. Is that also going to be the case with the enrichment, the CLEP program, or is that more restricted to our residents?
It's open to
Okay, so
I could certainly provide for the board the financials for this over the past number of years, and you could take a look at what the total cost is.
Okay.
And have, and decide in the future whether this is something you would want to fund through the budget or continue as
Well, I don't know
is.
if it has to be one or the other, but I
Right.
just say that I'd like to see the remedial stay within a modest range of charges, particularly for our own students. More concerned there than with the enrichment. That's an advancement aspect. And with these courses, I'd like to see what the course of study actually intends to be. I've got English, Math, Science, Social Studies, but what does that mean?
Sure.
And what grade levels? Are they all covered for 10th through 12th or 9th through 12th?
I'll include that in the information that Mrs. Krieger asked for.
Okay. Yeah, if we could see the various groups of English, Math, Science, Social Studies, what grades they cover. And I'm sure that it was hard for you to present this with an increase on these rates, but You know, you are talking basically, the remedial is running at the same rates as the enrichment, and the enrichment's an extra week and quite a few more hours. Oh, actually not. You say the one's 44 hours.
Correct.
5 weeks,
It's one more week. The enrichment course is one more week.
but only one more hour?
No,
Well, I see.
no, it's 5 more days.
I know, but on your sheet on the remedial, it says a single period course will run for 44 hours, and your other half credit course is 45 hours?
Half course is 45, the other one's a single period.
Full credit
Right.
is 90 hours.
Yeah.
But the half credit is still 5 weeks, is 6 weeks versus 5 weeks, but 1 hour difference, so I guess they're shorter times.
Yeah, and I'll detail that again for you so you see exactly how that works out.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Sure.
How soon do you expect to have them out for the students? Because I think the biggest problem we've had really with some of these summer programs is that by the time the students have gotten the schedules and the courses, they've already got plans that are already eliminating the availability to go here to these courses.
Well, we've started, I know Dr. Cotter and Dave Decker met with the Student Government Association, and we intend to do the survey next week, and our timeline would be to get, as soon as we get that return, get out the registration as soon as possible. I don't remember exactly what we were saying. I think by the end of April, we were hoping to have everything back.
Okay, because it's the end of June, and I know you're thinking of the
Last year, I
survey.
think we were into mid-May to late May, which really limited, I think, the number of students signing up.
Well, I see some interesting courses here, and some that are listed with the club program. But if it comes down to May, even or the beginning of May, you're gonna have a harder time being able to get a pulse on what your enrollment's going to be by the time everyone reacts to that, and also the scheduling problems that come out. And that's why I was looking at these and I'm thinking, I wonder if I can talk my son into some of them.
We will move it as quickly as we can. Obviously, meeting with the 3 colleges, I won't say delayed us, but took us a little bit longer to pull this all together. But we're ready to roll now.
Okay, super. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Schilling.
I just want to say it's a great opportunity for our kids, and again, I want to thank Dr. Bose for initiating it. Thank you.
Okay, real quick, in the remedial program here, Bob,
Yes.
special ed students, do they make up a large portion of this population that attends summer school? I'm under the impression they do not, because of this.
No, I don't believe so.
Because we have special concerns and we work for them all through the year. Okay, so that, I'd like to point that out to the board. I've been listening to all of you, and you've all made some good points, but I hear this overwhelming level of sensitivity towards these kids, which I'm not feeling. The summer school program is there for a reason, and it's because these folks had 9 months to do what most of the kids in our district do, and that is produce. I mean, there's some willful screwing up here that has them in summer school. Not that they're unfortunate, or they're this, or they're that, or they're whatever. And when I see these prices, and I look at one single period, 44 hours, and given that these are not the best behaved students in our school district, that's cheap daycare. And that's labor-intensive work for the people that are put onto this assignment. And I give Brenda Dickerson a lot of credit for holding down a rough fort during the summer. So I feel like I have like really no tender mercies for this program. Provide it, do it, get it done, make them produce, and move on.
Did the reporter get that? No tender mercies? Just want to make sure they got the
He does this to me every week. But anyway, I just don't feel that level of sensitivity that I'm hearing around the board here. I think they're fortunate that we provide that in the summer. And, you know, there used to be a day here in this district when you did repeat, and the embarrassment of having to repeat again usually did the trick. As to the club program, again, my thank yous to Dr. Bose. And I just want to point out that, you know, as we went through the debates, if you remember about to build an addition or a second high school, what came up was year-round education, because people were saying, oh, you use that school fully 9 months a year and then it's empty in the summer. Why can't we do better with stewardship and better use of our facilities? And I think as we grow in the area of enrichment, programs such as this, when we look at the night school that we're running, when we look at the overflow from the tech school, and when you look at the camps, the athletic camps we run during the summer, this is year-round education North Penn's way. And because of the opportunities for education that we provide all year round, really maximizing a building that has served us proud for quite a number of years, 25 years now, the high school building. You remember that building, Art, right?
Well,
You were here. So, again, this work well done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your turn. Yes, sir.
If I may, I didn't want to send a false message. I have,
You weren't touchy-feely either?
no, my only concern was I just wanted to make sure that we adjusted the rates,
Right,
that since they are self-sufficient programs,
right.
that we had enough money to pay the teachers, that we wouldn't be hitting the general fund or budgeting for
Absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
I wasn't being touchy-feely. I was concerned that you know, and Dr. Hasser said last year they came up a little short, had to take money out of the curriculum account. I just want to make
Right.
sure that
That
we
shouldn't
offer
happen.
these programs that they are in fact self-sufficient.
Taxpayers have been
Should be paying for this.
very benevolent. They already provided these kids 9 months to do the
That's
job.
absolutely correct.
We shouldn't pay
And
one more
if you
cent.
can't do it in 9 months,
That's right.
and then
Right.
you should pay to take the
That's
additional
correct.
work.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your turn. Welcome you to the podium on matters of the Advanced Credit Summer School Program and the Remedial Summer School Program. Anybody?
Going.
Thank you very much. Okay, next on your agenda, you'll see Community Services and Policy, if you have that agenda. That is being taken off this evening for very good reason. Policies such as this, as they relate to labor, personnel, we have a labor obligation to meet and discuss such policies with the union, the Teachers Association. And Mr. Sierpinski and I did not have opportunity to meet with the association yesterday, as was planned. It fell through. And therefore, we don't want to go through with this policy at this time until we met that obligation with the association. This will come back as is. The first reading is already established, it is ripe, and we just want to get that one more meeting out of the way.
There's one other thing with it.
Yes, sir.
We will meet on April 20th, and Pat and Don, since we developed this policy, you guys should come to the meeting. Also, we'll have our labor attorney there too.
April 20th. at
April
what time?
20th at 4 o'clock. Well, they're on the policy committee.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Okay, and while you stop there about a special meeting, may I please take this time to point out this evening that at 7:00 p.m., this board was in executive session for matters of personnel. Linda, you're here, Mrs. Stein, and I don't know if you can press? Okay, please make sure you have that now. All righty, personnel.
I'll speak to that item. As the Personnel Committee worked through the merit plan for the administrators, which was approved at our last action meeting, one facet of that merit plan is the merit pool, or the amount of dollars that the board wishes to allocate for that school year for the merit increases to the salaries, which would, in this particular case, would take place at the end of the school year. So those funds would be dispersed in the June timeframe to those who met their merit requirements. The recommendation of the committee, and we passed this, it's not something we have to vote on. It's something that I wanted to bring to an open meeting, though, is that I think it behooves all the committees to give all their funding requirements or recommendations to the Finance Committee as they're pulling this budget together with all the many things that are coming into it. It's important that the committee gives a recommendation to the Finance Committee as to the amount of dollars that we think should be in the pool for this coming year. When we discussed this pool, we ran a model, and we did a lot of work, and when we ran some of these models, the number that we were using and most of these models was $40,000 for this pool. So the recommendation of the Finance Committee, of the Personnel Committee to the board, and particularly the Finance Committee as they work on the budget, is $40,000. I wanted to bring that to the full board, so if there was any discussion or thing about that, so the Finance Committee has some idea where the total board, if that number is reasonable or they want to make some other number to it. That's the end of my report.
Just a question if I can, Mr. Hill.
Yes.
The $40,000, that's the pool that would be available for all the administrators, is that correct?
No,
Well,
only
we do
46.
supervise.
It doesn't have any of the contracted people there, which would be the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and Art.
Okay, but what we're talking about is the most they would get would be cost of living plus a percentage of this 40,000.
Whatever their share is of the merit pool.
So, okay.
Based on the results of the
Just don't any
evaluation.
surprises, that's all, was working on the budget, just want to know where we are, that's all. Thank you.
And you should add that not necessarily 40,000 would be given out, because anybody who doesn't get a full
They don't
100%
get their
performance
share.
review, they wouldn't get that
I
increase.
doubt that'll happen, but that's okay.
Well, let me start board questions to the right, since I started the last set of questions to the left. Mr. Schoen. Mrs. Schoen.
Has anyone worked out this number as to what additional percentage that would be of the total administrative budget minus those employees that are disqualified from it?
It's by share of the pool,
Well, I know
so it
it's-
goes by the individual and their salary to determine their share.
Right, and I know there's some that aren't in there,
As
so
a
that
percentage of
changes
the-
the percentages for the individual, but there's still,
No, it
this
doesn't.
dollar
No, it doesn't.
represents a percentage of what it is of
No,
the
it
budget.
doesn't, because
If it were even.
the share is divided, or the pool is established by the share amount, which basically says we take our administrative budget less our contracted help, and divide their salary as a portion, as a percentage of that total. Therefore, if someone doesn't get awarded it, that money is not given to the others. That's not the way it works.
Right,
So the maximum payout is $40,000.
so that could carry over to next.
But I would like to know, then if everyone qualified,
Well,
is that all you need is the
If everyone
percentage of
qualifies,
the what,
everybody-
3.3 million or 3.2 million, whatever our administrative pool is? I just wondered if you
maximum
worked
Carol
out
did an
what that
analysis of it.
represented in the budget.
And if I can I'm gonna shoot from the hip, but if I recollect, it could be anywhere from 1/6 of a percent to a little bit under a half,
Right.
which was total of the combined share pool. So it varies anywhere from, say, $100 to, I think, $600 or $700, something like that, by share.
I thought some people were at 2%.
It'd have to be
Yeah,
because,
okay, maybe you're right.
because when we began the discussions, we had 32,000 represented a 2% for everyone.
No, well,
During this past year's discussion,
It was
16,000 did a 1% all the way through of those who qualified.
32,000 is 1%, because I think our administrative budget's over $3 million.
Yeah,
Yeah, 3 point,
That's correct.
1% would be 32,000.
Right.
We estimated
Well,
two-thirds would achieve
well, maybe that was from January then.
75%. And the final one quarter would achieve 100%. And I think with that, based on the $40,000 pool, we estimated about $34,000 would be the payout.
Right.
And that would be added into the salary. And for those who did not achieve, would then get a lesser percentage of the total of the pool for the following year, and they would constantly be losing out, so they would have an incentive to achieve their full performance. And just to add to mine, I know you're going around from right to left, but one of the things we were hoping that Dr. Hasker would include in there was the curriculum, the technology into the curriculum as part of the performance.
Right.
So that I would like to see, sure, I'd like to see everybody getting 100%, but that be included in there, so it's going to be a tough achievement.
okay. Thank you, Don, by the way, and asking for some opinions to come forward to finance. While we're there, along with the salaries, I'd like to have some input from the committee's regard in relationship to the respective personnel requests. You know, new staff, new bodies, there's quite a few sitting here, and I'm looking for some input as to what's rolled through the different committees, whether it was support staff or NPEA staff, you know, teaching professionals, or administrative positions, or technology. So for everyone to keep that in mind, because certainly a budget's more than 3 people, and it's a comprehensive document that needs to be supported by a majority of the board, so we appreciate that. I'll let that go for now, thank you.
Mr. Allen.
I have no questions.
Mr. Hill?
No.
Mr. Shapinsky? Mr. O'Donnell? Mrs. Rieger?
No.
Mr. Mosey? Okay, just want to point out that if this is approved by the board, we've already
There's none to
approved
be, there's none to
the...
be approved.
No, I don't mean by approved. You've already approved the program.
Yes.
The MERIT program.
The dollar amount.
This is the first time we've ever placed now dollars to the program that was board
We have to-
approved.
We have to budget for it.
We have to budget
We
for
have
it.
to budget for it.
I know the board has to agree to that amount to the pool, but this will be the first time we've worked through a merit pay plan. It'll be the first time we didn't pay administrators around here based on attendance only.
Do I take
There's a
from you,
merit piece, attached to it. So
do
this is
we
the
at this
first.
point want this $40,000 implemented into the budget? Is that what?
I would make that recommendation only because that was the agreement that we had with the MPAA as our model. And we represented that fact to them, that's the model we were using. And we wouldn't give them any more money
Mr.
than
Sure, I'd
that.
put that in now, and if it gets beat up during the budget process, it gets beat up.
Fine.
But I would go with that figure, it's the only one you can
You'll have
do.
to have Carol list that then
Right.
somewhere.
Absolutely.
And we'll have to
I'll
know
check
where
to
that
see.
appears in the budget.
I think it's additional sheets, but.
It's also fair notice to the association, I see Mr. Jordan here, that if this works, we're coming. Merit plan. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, members of the audience, personnel, administrative merit pool, this is your time. Any questions or comments?
I have one more question, and Vince could probably answer that.
Wait a minute, just a
I'll let
minute.
Vince.
Again, one more time, anybody from the audience? Okay, folks, thank you. Mrs. Sharp?
Under the merit pay plan, it simply uses the cost of living as the basis. Now, I'd like to know for sure, are we going with the 1.8%, or are we applying 2% to the base?
Whatever the cost of living is.
Well, I need to know
Well, that's
because
right,
there's
we'll have
already,
to know. That's right.
you'll have some of this money within the
It's 1.8
percentage.
It's
right
based on March. Remember, it was
2% was
It was
estimated,
based
but some
on-
of the material.
No, it isn't,
Isn't it?
because
Yeah,
those are extra
I
dollars
don't-
that we don't have to add to the budget.
It was-
We need the cushion.
The agreement with the association was March of each year, CPI based on March, wasn't it?
Yes.
I thought
We'll
so.
double check that.
March.
It's either 1.8 or 2.
We thought it was 1.8.
Okay, because it makes a
important.
difference in
believe it was
balancing the
1.8.
numbers,
We'll check
because
it.
there's
But it was as of
2%.
March, that's what the
Catch
agreement
this
is.
mark on that hotline, I'll give it now, they'll take it from March.
Whichever one you're going to use, there's 2% already incorporated in. So if it becomes 1.8, then you've got a 0.2 that's already
And you've
there.
got your 40,000.
We're always giving you money, though.
That's all I'm gonna know.
Okay, are there any other meetings, while we're in public session, are there any other meetings that anybody wishes to announce on behalf of their committees?
Finance meets
Finance
tomorrow,
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
6 o'clock,
6 o'clock
budget.
Curriculum,
at
4:30.
1:30? Any other meetings wish to
We
be
have Little
announced?
League next Thursday.
We still have the action meeting for the 14th, is the administration's,
What time?
are we still set for action meeting on the 14th?
We need to what's up
On the E-rate?
Great, technology, special meeting, the 14th.
7:30.
What?
Can we speak again about these meeting changes? Or is this what we're doing?
No, come forward.
Couldn't get out of here before.
Linda Abram, Upper Gwinnett. I just have like my same old question. I'm hearing all these meetings, I'm trying to write them down feverishly. Are they documented? Is there a new committee list established?
No, these were already established. It was just an opportunity while they're on camera to take
Okay.
a chance to announce their...
Tomorrow night, tomorrow night's meetings, were they a regular rotating session, or was that changed?
Curriculum was rescheduled from last week,
Okay,
and it was posted in the newspaper.
okay, and finance was,
Finance is not really, the regular monthly meeting.
That's your budget.
These are these additional
Budget,
budget
okay.
meetings that I said at the time we adopted it, we would probably need because it's a labor-intensive
okay,
period for all of us.
okay. And we had talked about some consideration to these 4 o'clock meetings. Is that a
Yes.
concern that we're going to address for next month's rotation?
Yes, I'm hoping so.
Starting in May, the curriculum committee, which is the only committee that has been meeting at 4:30.
No, no.
Facilities
Facilities
meeting.
meets at 4.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
Sorry,
well,
but curriculum-
It's being changed to 6 o'clock, and I expect everybody to be at those meetings.
Now that you've changed it, right?
Now that I've changed
Look
it.
what you've done to yourself.
See, yeah, really, now I have to be there, absolutely. And facilities?
Next month.
Facilities? Is that
Facilities is
Mr. Ed?
remaining at
That's still
4
at 4
o'clock
o'clock.
because it goes, it's ahead of finance and we're afraid of finance and estimating our closing time. Our meetings,
We have that room.
Linda, could be till 9 o'clock at night, and we have the 6 o'clock block, so there's really no other way to tag on to that night.
I just again reiterate, 4 is so difficult for people. I appreciate the
Well,
change on.
I know what you're saying, Ms. Abrams, but it's also difficult for us sometimes too, and it may be an inconvenience for you, but I'm exercising board privilege here, 4 o'clock, the last Tuesday of every month for Mr. Wood with what's going on with the construction, and with my time schedule is the most convenient time for us right now.
Well, I'm glad it's
I
convenient for you.
apologize.
It's not convenient for the public, and this is supposed to
apologize
be
if
an
that's
open public
inconvenience.
forum.
The meeting is open at 4 o'clock, Mrs. Abrams.
Okay. Yes. What time is it?
Back to these committee meetings. I'm Cindy Grodanko, Tomenson Township. Are they going to be videotaped? I know the technology one was. If they were videotaped, I don't think anybody would care if they were at 4 o'clock. And if they were on at 2 a.m., most people can copy them. I don't think we need to take up the spotlight of the children, which everybody seems to have a major concern that they want to see more of the kids and more of the programs, and that's nice. But for those of us that try to get to the meetings, for those of us that can't get to the meetings, I really think that a lot of the concern wouldn't be there if it was videotaped and if there was access to it. I appreciate, Sharice, that you say they're in the paper, or whoever said that. I myself have had a heck of a time trying to follow when they are. Then they're canceled. The day that you plan and make sure that your kids are somewhere and somebody else is somewhere and you try to get there and it's canceled. It's no fault of yours. You have lives. We have lives. But for those of us that are interested to see what is going on, who can't get to every one of them, I really plead that you videotape them, because then there wouldn't be the concern of what's being discussed. We'd have time to catch up with them. We wouldn't have to rearrange our lives to get to a meeting that might be canceled, that might be rescheduled, and it wouldn't matter. Is that a consideration?
I understand. Let me just speak to that for a minute.
Sure.
I appreciate your concern. One thing I want you to keep in mind, though, at the committee meetings, a lot of things could be discussed. At this session tonight, or the work session that precedes an action meeting next Thursday, if there is anything that comes up in any one of the committee meetings that's going to require an action in that month, that subject will be rediscussed or re-brought forward at the work session.
Right,
So-
I understand
So if
that.
there's any, so nothing will have, if you miss a curriculum meeting or miss a whatever meeting, at whatever was discussed in there, if it wasn't brought forward at this meeting, at the work session, I wouldn't be too concerned about it, because nothing's going to happen with it.
Just to comment back on that, and I don't remember the topic, maybe somebody does. There was an action meeting or a work session, I don't even remember which one, last month. There had been a committee meeting the night before. I believe it was finance, or it might have been the combined meeting, I'm not really sure. There was apparently a lot of, I was not at that meeting. That was the meeting which, if you remember, somebody from the audience did videotape it so people
Or the
could watch
finance.
it. Okay, but my point to that is, for being at the meeting the next night, there was definitely conversations that had gone on the night before that if you weren't there and didn't get to watch it, you were pretty much in the dark, because it was a continued conversation that came from the night before. And since I didn't get there the night before, I knew there were undertones, I knew there was discussions, I knew there was a little bit of struggle from the night before that came out that day of the meeting. But because I couldn't watch it, I couldn't put the pieces together as to where the struggles were and what was being discussed. And I hadn't had a chance to watch the video at that time. So I appreciate the fact that you're saying it's repeated, but
If anything's going to be...
the whole idea of committee meetings are not to repeat, they're to move
No,
in an area.
the purpose of the committee meeting is to discuss many subjects.
Well, you
but
discuss
only
it
bring forward
when?
those are going to be
At a
action.
committee
Then,
meeting.
first of all, Mrs. Gromiko, you have to take into consideration, where did we come from? If you remember, up until we started this committee system,
Right.
administrators would meet in back rooms, God knows where,
Right.
what time of day or night, with one board member, and then ideas, programs, presentations were foisted on the rest of the board at a work session such as this. You could lay in wait, there could be coups, there could be absolutely anything, and you had no participation whatsoever. This committee system now allows for rooms to be assigned. The doors are open, whether it's 4:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, they're open, they're advertised, they're legal, and it's no more agenda being manufactured and pushed ahead by administrators. It starts at the ground floor with board members and yourselves.
I appreciate
So
that,
we've
but
come
like
a
I
very, very
said,
long way, and it's not, you
I'm
speak
just
as if
asking you to
somehow you're
cons-
getting cheated, and if you think you're being cheated today, you don't know what you were cheated on last year.
no, that isn't what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that if we're going to use video time, there are wee hours of the night that for those of us that can't get to a 4 o'clock meeting, I appreciate that Pat and Sharice can make that time, and that Art is here for that time. I don't want to inconvenience you who are coming so that I can get there when I can or may not
Well,
get there.
in this board's attempt to be more open and involve the public from the ground floor, we have put ourselves out a lot. We meet more now than we ever did. Now, tonight's short. We should have been out of here maybe 15 minutes ago. That's never happened before. Our work sessions are
Right.
shorter because so much work is done instead of those 6-7 hour meetings
Right,
in one
but that's
night.
what I'm saying. I'd
And
like
that's
to be able
better
to
for all of us. That's
see,
what we were hoping to stop.
I would like to be able to see what's done that maybe I couldn't get to.
Come to the meeting.
Okay, well, that's
Well, if they're at 4 o'clock, I can't get
well,
there.
that's a discussion for another time. When the
Right.
committee
But
bugs
if they're
have been worked out,
videotaped?
that's something that could possibly come up later and
Why-
down the line. But we have to work out the committee system as it is.
And why
it's
can't they
still
be
far more than there
videotaped?
ever was.
Is there a problem with one camera
Yes.
just to stay?
Yeah.
It's called
I don't want-
money.
I open up more at those meetings than I would here. Quite frankly, I don't want it.
What is that? You open up more at the meetings than you
Yes, I
would
am,
here?
I am more candid at those meetings, but quite frankly, I don't want it.
Well,
I don't want it.
Well,
Well,
that is,
it's,
Come to the meeting.
it costs money,
You'll hear what we
first of
discuss.
all, to videotape those
okay,
meetings.
Mrs. Grimico, I think there's been plenty of discussion on this. It is something that we have heard. It's something that the community relations can take into consideration. What's most important is getting the bugs hammered out of the committee system, keeping these meetings open, having the public more involved than they've ever been before, and continuing to move ahead with board business, school business.
Could you sort of keep an eye on the count, how many people from the public do come at each meeting and see
Sure,
if you're
we
really
do.
getting? Right, so
We
there's
do.
two. So then you have to consider, is it because of the time, the involvement, or the amount of meetings? It's just something to consider, that if you're making it open so more and more people come,
Right.
and you're only getting 2 people to come, then that says something.
Yes, it's probably that we've tried too hard.
Too hard, or, yeah, but
Well, I would
Can I
just like to
suggest you
point out
ask
that-
for the minutes? We do have minutes, and at least then you get the
Okay.
topics ahead of time, and then you
Okay.
can do it. And now can I make a
when
motion?
when are they available, the
The
minutes of the meeting?
it will run about 2 weeks or so after the committees, because we have to,
Okay.
they have to be turned around and rolled. But generally, we're working for them so that they're in the hands of the different chairs, usually by the action meeting, for the reports that we give at the action meeting for
Right.
our committees.
Right.
And the only thing I could say is, they're not in great detail. Please don't get me wrong, they're not gonna tell you every little thing. But they do tell you all the topics that were covered, so that you could see if there's something you wanna follow up and ask more questions.
We also have
That would help.
agendas too, and the reason we publish the agendas in advance, because there are so many committee meetings. We wanted them to go out in advance so that you could.
And are
you
the
could choose-
agendas always here?
But I don't know if the
Pick and
district-
choose what meetings you could go to.
I don't think, sometimes it's
Well,
hard to get an
we need to-
agenda.
We'll need to
here
go with community
for this
relations
meeting.
as to whether they're straight on that, if they can make them available after the chairs have received them, the committees have received them.
You know,
I have no
I
problems.
want to point something out. Last week, I had a committee meeting that had to be canceled due to a lack of quorum of board
And
members.
I had to close one for lack
Now,
of quorum.
The topics that were on the agenda that are going to be acted upon this board in the month of April were moved to tonight's agenda. And those were the 2 earlier topics that we discussed under curriculum. Those were discussed here as they would have been last week. They were discussed here by this board as they would have been discussed in the committee with any questions being presented to the administrators last week. That does not stop any member of this board asking further questions and having the administrators provide the public or the board members any follow-up questions to those items which will be voted on next week. Now, in relationship to videotaping our meetings, a few weeks ago, the local reporter took issue with the fact that a couple of our committee meetings were meeting at 4:30 in the afternoon, and that they should be videotaped. I contacted the editor after reading that editorial because I took particular offense to it. because I think that this board has demonstrated a willingness to operate in the open in regards to the business that we conduct. The gentleman that I spoke to that was responsible for writing that editorial told me that in essence, his attack was not on this board, but it was on all the other public agencies in this county that do not videotape their meetings or schedule their meetings at a time that is convenient for the general public. So for once, if the public is going to take issue with this board for not videotaping the committee meetings, I would like, and I challenge each and every one of you to start attending your local township meetings and complaining about the same thing, the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors, and attack them about the same thing. The IU, there are all kinds of government agencies that schedule their meetings midday, and nobody seems to have an issue of it. But because we are not going beyond to spend any more tax dollars to videotape our subcommittee meetings, I'm growing weary of being accused of trying to operate in the dark. This has been the most open operating board in the last 10 years of this school district, and I would like everybody to take that into consideration.
Well, I think, Don, if we got agendas, if we got an agenda, if we could get the agendas for the meetings, then that would clear up a lot, because we know what we want to come to. Sometimes they're not available for this, even 2 hours before a meeting, they've changed.
Extra agendas.
I think we need to adjourn.
No, I mean before the meeting. Before?
We put it at about 370.
I mean before, so we know what we want to come to. So for committee meetings, should I call here and ask for an agenda to know if I should come? And when would that be available?
The agenda, they have to be ready probably, most likely to be ready for the public on the same day.
Out of here, it was 51,511.